就是3个。Yep. Yeah, are you sharing the budget? Is that going on?就是3个。Yep. Yeah, are you sharing that we need the budget? Is that going on?就是3个。No, we're not. Right. Candace, we're just making sure that we're live, we're good. It should be.
Hearing and work session to order. April 29th, 2025, and we are in Worcester County Government 0. We are going into a public hearing on the general operating and water and sewer budgets for fiscal year 2025-2026. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I make the motion to open a public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The public hearing is open. First, we're going to have a presentation on who at this time is to talk a little bit about what we've been working on for the past 7 meetings on the budget. We've gone through all the sections of the budget and we have some changes, and I'd like to talk about the changes. So on the screen, we have the general fund. We have revenues. And we have no changes on that page. Going to the second page, we have added operations expense, where the yellow line is. And if you can see it, it's $14,900. The next page,
Not operating expense, it should be reserved.
so under operating expenses, it's reserve funding. Okay, the next is discretionary funds. It went from 4,000 to 2,500. Contract legal services went from 100,000 to 90. And training and travel went from 6,000 to 4,500. And if you see any corrections, please let me know. Next page.
I'll get to you there. I don't need clarity on something.
Okay.
Thank you.
Got it, okay. Okay, planning and zoning for training, we have a deduction from 3,700 to 2,500 on that page. And then the next page doesn't have any corrections. Okay, now we are on streets. Total employee expenses, this is, I just listed these. Uniforms, 3,700 to 3,000. And the general fund net gain, since this is a balanced budget, is 0. And then on the water fund, we have contract legal services changed from 12,000 to 5,000. And a deduction of water maintenance from 26,000 to 33,000. And then we have the total budget water fund, $841,803. In the sewer revenues, the total sewer revenues, $1,675,447. And a change in the contract legal services from 15,000 to 7,500. And an addition on the equipment and building maintenance from 169,000 to 176,500. Okay. Any additions, corrections from staff on the changes to the budget at this time? Ron? Council? Good? All right. Now, we have Jean Scott Holloway with us, to talk about our rate analysis for the town of Snow Hill from ZERCAP. Now, we have the presentation up on the screen.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to get it through.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to, I thought you were.
Took it away from him.
I thought you were computer.
Well, I'm not a smart board wizard.
Is it a different PDF? Okay, that's the end.
There you go.
There we go.
Okay. I'm sorry. It just snatched you right down. Okay, first, a little bit about CERCAP, if I may. We are the Southeast Rural Community Systems Project. We serve an 8-state area from Delaware all the way down to Florida. We are one of 7 such regional organizations. All are standalone organizations, nonprofit 501c3s that provide assistance to small towns, anything under 10,000 in population, at no charge to the town. So the services that have been provided by CERCAP and the conduct of this study have not cost the town anything. But that is our mission in life, basically. I retired as the state lead for Delaware and Eastern Maryland, and am now doing contract work. Just a little bit of, oops. My scroller is not scrolling very well.
It's being a little wonky.
Wait a minute. Not hand coordination. This is why I don't play video. There we go. Okay. Did a study for the town in 2023 using figures from 2022, but figures from usage figures from 2022 and their budget projected for 23-24. The updated figures that were used in this study are all from the town's own budget and some from audited financial statements. And I've sat down with all the town staff just about at one time or another and gone over this to make sure it's accurate. I do project, which you won't see the projections unless you've read the report. I project out what the cost will be over a 5-year period lately I've been using a 5% inflation rate, and I use something higher for electric and insurance in particular, as they tend to escalate more quickly. We've had several meetings and we're going back and forth with the management team over just about all of this. And again, if I may give you just a real quick lesson on what needs to go into a rate increase, there's always 3 things that need to be done before any rate change. There we go. Need to get a handle on non-revenue water. That's the difference between what's actually produced and its costing the town to treat and distribute, and what the town actually gets paid for, billable. And in the course of the study, I take the total produced for a given year and subtract what has been billed out for that given year to come up with the level of that non-revenue water. I'll get to that in a little more detail in a minute. The second thing that needs to be done is any town needs to look at how many gallons are included in the base charge or the minimum bill. It is very important to keep that as low as is practical, because it avoids giving away water. People keep getting water or using water, wasting water. It encourages conservation. And the third thing is to get a grip on collections. 95% of what is billed should be collected before the next bill comes due, because that uncollected bill costs everybody else who does offset that. Going through these one by one, Snowhill's non-revenue water was 21.1% of total production in the 2023 study. It has been reduced down now that it is much closer to 15%, which is what I recommend. At any given time, there will be 8 to 10% of what is produced in the pipes. So anything after that, it's a matter of cost effectiveness of going after it. Sometimes if the lines are too deep, if the line is not of a certain type of metal that it's going to, sometimes there are lines, and I know there's some older lines in town that if air hits them, you dig them up, air hits them and they collapse. So you have to analyze whether it's worth going after. And then some of the water will also be used in the process for the wastewater plant. So if they've gotten it down to about 15%, I think that's very acceptable. They've made some pretty vast improvements. Bobby in particular, I believe, has gone after that. Non-revenue water costs them double because your sewer is based on your water usage. But there is some of that, 10 to 15% is certainly acceptable. The gallon allowance, I usually recommend 0, but that's not always palatable. I recommend if they must have a gallon allowance included in the minimum bill, it should be no more than 3,000 gallons per month or 9,000 per quarter, and Snow Hills is 6,000, so that is certainly within reasonable levels. And I have conducted the present rate study and proposed rates based on that 6,000 gallons included in the base charge. The collection rate is one of the best I've seen. Very diligent with the collections, and current collection rate probably exceeds 95% is what is billed. So there's no issues there. Basically, the general overall administration is being done well. The water rate analysis, and again, there's much more detail about this in the written report. But since the 2023 study, the average cost of 1,000 gallons of water to the town has gone up from $8.16 a thousand to $10.71 a thousand. Yet the average revenue that is collected is $9.97 per thousand. Now, that's not to say that's what they should charge. That's not to say that's what it actually is costing. That is an average cost. Because the first 1,000 gallons produced always costs the most. And then with economies of scale, as you get up into the millions of gallons range, it least, but somewhere in there, there's an average. And that's all that is an average. And it's a way to look at and compare and to analyze, not a way to provide the charge you should be charging. At present rates and structures, rate structure rather, the water system has a projected deficit of about $58,000. That is better than what it was in 23. I did have what that was. And point to calculate that. It was 67.9, almost 68,000. So you've improved that position by $10,000, which is to be commended. But with inflation and with some of the things that are happening in the economy, chances are the cost is going to go up more. And that is going to be very apparent in the wastewater system, which I'll get to in a minute. It takes a lot more electricity, for one thing, to operate a wastewater system than it does a water system. And Delmarva Power has had a significant increase, and that has made a big difference. The new rates instituted after that 23 study had only been in force for 9 months at the time we did all this analysis. So 12 months worth of figures at the new rate might have improved that position, but I doubt that it would be enough to completely wipe out the deficit. I have no proof of that. That's just my gut and experience. The water system does have no debt, which means, that's a good thing. That if there are any capital improvements planned, that could change the financial. Usage blocks is something I always do to look at how many people use how much water. And almost 75% of the customers use 15,000 gallons or less per quarter. A general rule of thumb in the industry for an average single family household is 5,000 gallons per month or 15,000 gallons per quarter. And again, almost 75% of the customer base falls within that average. Considerable amount, probably when I calculated 28% use 4,000 or less. I think probably you'd be in the 30 to 32 range with those who use 6,000 or less. Although I did not make that calculation and I should have. The prospective rate scenario, current rates are $50 base charge for 6,000 gallons and then $7.70 for everything over 6,000 gallons. The proposed rate in the mayor's budget is the $50 base charge, but the usage rate would have to go up to $9.65 for gallons over 6,000. Users of 6,000 gallons or less will not see any change in their bill. It will stay the same. The higher end users will see a small change. It'll be less than $2 for every 1,000 gallons. But everyone in town will only pay for what they use after that 6,000 gallons. Nobody will be paying, the little old ladies won't be paying for what the family with teenagers uses and vice versa. This is also based on out-of-town customers paying twice the in-town. What this means for that average user of 5,000 gallons a month or 15,000 gallons per quarter is that an average in-town household for 15,000 gallons will pay about $17.22 more per quarter and $70.20 more per year. And again, almost 75% of the customers use within that range. So it's a fairly modest increase on the water side. The wastewater is another matter because for one thing, wastewater has debt. Also, the wastewater costs more to operate. Wastewater costs about 2.5 times as much to operate as water does. And it takes a lot more electricity to operate that wastewater system. When we did the 2023 study, it was $20.03 was the average cost per 1,000 gallons. And now it's $25.83. So it's gone up more than $5 not just shy of $6 per thousand gallons in terms of average cost. The average revenue is $14.61 per thousand gallons. But that is an improvement over the last time because the last one was $10.03 was the average revenue for water that was costing $20 and something. So it was almost double the deficit in terms of average cost. And again, the wastewater system costs 2.5 times as much as the water system. And even though these improvements in the position have been made, it's still necessary to increase the rates to keep up with the cost. The deficit was over 500, it was a 580 some thousand in 2023. So they've improved that position by a little over 100,000. But it is still not quite enough. And I need to emphasize something that has evolved over time. It's not been any one individual, any one administration. It's been an evolutionary process of not really examining all the costs that go into operation and making up the difference out of reserves just to keep from the rates going up. And now this body is kind of stuck with that and has to do something about it. There have been unanticipated costs that have contributed to this deficit, including the inflationary rate and the electricity. It is highly likely, so the trade magazines are saying that with tariffs on steel and chemicals, it's likely that this may go up more. We just don't know how much. And again, as with the water, this is based on figures for only 9 months at the rates that were set in the 23 study. So 12 months would make this position a little better, but we couldn't wait that long. Prospective rate scenario for wastewater. Current rate is 135 base bill plus 12.35 over 1,000 gallons. The proposed change is $150 plus 17.10 over 6,000 gallons. Users of 6,000 gallons or less will see a change. That is a mistake. That's an old set of slides that was put up there before I corrected it. They will see a change. You'll pay $15 more. If you use 6,000 gallons or less, you're paying $15 more per quarter. So, or $60 more per year. Higher end users are going to see a more significant change. And then again, out of town customers will pay twice the down rate.
Can you repeat that?
Which part? Ma'am?
The increase?
Okay. If you use under 6,000, well, I'm going to show you on the next slide too. An average an average single family home that uses 15,000 gallons will pay $57.75 more per quarter and $231 more per year for sewer. And that says for water, that should be for sewer. Anyone using under 6,000 gallons or under will only pay $15 more. That's the difference in the base bill. Some further details and considerations. There's a lot of detail in the written report that may answer some questions. I'd be glad to answer questions from anyone. But the main thing is that both systems have to be sustainable all by themselves. They can't continue to be subsidized from tax dollars from general fund because they are enterprise funds. And I think even the auditor said when he was here at the last meeting that this has to be run like an enterprise fund. And it didn't get this way over 1 year or overnight. And it's going to take more than 1 year to get back up to where it needs to be. And again, a full 12 months of the revenues from the 24-25 rates may improve that financial picture some, but it's not likely that it will resolve that whole $400 and some thousand. And while there have been a lot of improvements made and the position is better than it was 2 years ago, it's going to take a couple of years to get it back where it should be. And if this is not addressed, then it's going to affect your ability to access funding for any future upgrades. And I'm not saying you're there yet, but at worst case scenario, the state can actually force you to if you turn your operation over to somebody else, it appears to not be sustainable over time. So we don't want that to happen because that almost always means the rates go way up to cover that contract operator. So you want to avoid that at all costs, but they do have the authority to do that, even though that you would have to be in a lot worse shape before they would play that card. It can. Again, just recommendations. Increase the rates to the proposed levels as soon as the new year's billing starts, if the software will allow you to do that. And I realize people are paying for what they've already used, so you can't always institute it right at July 1st, but as soon as you can get them done. And I know we've talked about outdated meters. If there are any, continue to replace them on a systematic basis so that you keep that non-revenue water down as low as possible. And a capital improvement program that would include your funding sources and timetables and milestones. And an asset management plan will go a long way to make this system more sustainable, for both systems more sustainable. And that's something that CERCAP can help you with. Yeah, I don't do that, but you know, they can help you. And we have people, the neat thing about having 8 different states in our region is we can pull specialists from another state to come in here. We have a GPS specialist in the South Carolina office. She can come and do mapping, things like that. So, we talk about, I did not calculate it in this presentation or in the proposed rates, but establish a separate dedicated flat charge for capital improvements so that you build up an amount that will fund the local share of any capital improvement that you plan on doing. Because even if you get grants and loans, chances are there's going to be some local share, at least 10%. Who knows now, it may be greater than that. So try to build up a fund with that flat fee that would be independent of any usage. Because you're already doing that for water. It's been that way, I don't know how long, but I worked for the town 30 years ago and they were charging that 30 years ago. So it's something, well, 29, I guess. But it's something that, you know, and there's a precedent for it. And that's all I have. Did I skip anything that you wanted me to cover or other questions or?
Dan, do you want to add to what?
Your budget
Yeah.
does include this like $7.50 capital improvement fee for sewer. So as Gene has said, the water base stays the same, but the over 6,000 per gallon increases.
Increases, okay.
The sewer base is going up $15 plus the $7.50 capital improvement fee. So it's $22.50 increase in sewer under 6 for the base, under 6,000 gallons and less. And then the individual
But
base.
that's going into a dedicated fund
Yeah.
for emergencies and things. It's not part of the operational. It's not covering part of the operational.
That's all I have. I think there's a chart that Melissa worked very hard on to show that.
Yes, I think we,
differences.
the chart with different municipalities and what they charge. You talked about the pie and making sure that everything is
Yeah.
used up in that pie.
Well, I
Pie
tried to
graph.
explain that before because I think people thought they should start paying at 0 as you recommend.
Yeah.
But the rates will be higher
Yeah.
at 0
Yes,
than they
they will.
are at 6,000. That's what you mean by eligible.
Not really.
Getting to 6,000.
If you started at 0, you could bring the charge down a little bit, but people who are not using under 6,000 would then see their entire usage would be charged.
I'm not the same right
Yeah.
now.
The pie analogy that I used is you have to, your cost, if you look at your cost like a pie, you have to get that from somewhere. You can reslice the pie in terms of the sources of the income, but the size of the pie doesn't change. The pie is the pie. The money's got to come from somewhere. And it has been, on the sewer side in particular, it's been coming from the general fund for a long time.
The chart may be interesting.
It shows
Yeah.
some of that, how
to
others
some
are doing.
How other municipalities, work this system like we do. Theirs is a little different. Melissa, you want to talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure.
Some of the municipalities, do monthly charges, so they're not, billing quarterly. Certain, certain places charge straight out the bat that they go from 0 and their rates are higher initially and they go down lower. Over time, some people actually get charged an EDU. An EDU fee every month or quarterly. Some of municipalities also charge their commercial at a higher rate. Let's see, a couple, Berlin has a higher capital, improvement fee, for both their water and sewer. Their out of town are twice the rates. Some of Ocean Pines has a higher, they have a tiered system, so when you're talking about, wherever you get the pie from, wherever you're slicing the pie. Some people are billed in a tiered fashion, so the more that you use, the higher your rate goes. So it just depends on how you're getting this. Initially, our rates are lower than our surrounding areas, Salisbury, Berlin, Kokomo, Newark, and Ocean Pines. I had spoken to all these cities and municipalities, and we are on the forefront of this, but all of their rates are going up. And we are just the first people to be making this process. All of these surrounding areas are increasing their rates as well, so.
And if I may just add, I'm always a little leery of, with any town that I've worked with that wants to set their rates compared to what somebody else is. Your cost centers are your cost centers and nobody else's, and you have to cover your cost. I mean, it's that simple. And somebody like Worcester County, they have economies of scale that help to keep the rates down. A tiered system is something that I can do. It's very dicey and hard to do. The tiered system, if you have you've got a population of over 2,000, your connections are probably about 1,100,000, 1,100, something like that. I don't know, with 75% of the customers using 15,000 gallons or less, I'm not sure a tiered system is gonna get you that much. Just in my opinion. I can't prove it by calculating it out, but that's the way it looks to me.
All right, but this is very interesting to look at the other municipalities
Oh,
and how
yeah.
how they do it. Right.
But I've had towns say, well, we wanna see what Berlin's charging, and we wanna charge a nickel less. It doesn't work that way.
Okay.
Or it shouldn't work that way. That could be how we got here to start with.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Artificially setting the rates instead of making them cost based.
And Bobby Witt, you wanna chime in on wastewater treatment, what your experience with dealing with, everything that's required of you, chemicals, et cetera?
So the water side is very simple. You're pumping it up, adding a couple chemicals, distribution, it goes to a house. For the wastewater side, we receive it, we have to treat it, we have 6 to 8 different chemicals, we add electricity costs, we have nutrient removals, extra testing requirements. The list goes on and on. It's a very, a large operation of what we're doing at the wastewater plant that helps contribute to the cost. The insurance has risen up, electricity has gone up. We have a plan with the state of Maryland to address issues down there, and that's really the driving factor for.
And that's all why it costs you 2.5 times as much to operate a wastewater as it does the sewer. Because of all the
Those
stuff.
chemicals.
Yeah. And your water is almost perfect. You just have to disinfect because the law says so.
Okay.
So, you don't have a lot of cost there. It's no softeners or any of that. The town water is great.
But if we didn't put the rates up, what's gonna happen?
You're at the end of your reserves, probably. You're looking towards them at the end of fiscal year 26 if you do not increase your rates.
And as Virginia said, if our fiscal situation is that bad, the state can step in and take it.
And we don't want that to happen because the prices will go up.
Yeah.
It'll cost more.
And they can fine you, I think now it's $5,000 a day for non-compliance, and every day will be considered a separate event, I believe is how it used to read.
5,000 a day.
They rarely do that, but they can.
And if your budgets aren't meeting your staffing requirements, the staffing's not there, then you're falling behind on your testing requirements. That's more violations, that's more issues, that's compounding the fact of where we are.
And we already we have a correction plan from the Maryland State Department of the Environment.
Yeah, and we're following that to the T, and we've done everything they've asked and jumped through every hoop, and we keep, doing what we need to do.
ARPA funds were involved in that, and reserves in this year's budget are being used for that. So probably it's $500,000 or $600,000 that has been spent extra from these budgeted figures.
And I have to say, there's been a lot of strides made. I mean, even though this picture looks bleak, it's better than it was. So we're on the right track as far as getting back on track.
Okay. Council, Sharon, do you have anything else? Okay, okay, all right, good. Council, any other additional questions from you? Yeah, go ahead.
Bobby, is there any plans to bring the UV system online to cut down on the chemical costs?
As far as I know, we've applied for a grant. They kicked our grant out last year that we applied for. And we were kind of under the impression that because all the issues we were having, they wanted to bring us to the table and try to force us into a consent order. So we negotiated a corrective action plan.
Yeah.
We've been following, and they kind of said, hey, we'll work with you this next budget year. Maybe we can try to get you some grant money to work on that.
It's $921,000. At this point, I think 600,000 was said 2 years ago. It's now
For the
900.
cost,
And
for the cost of it,
I guarantee another 40%.
for the cost of it.
Yes, so that is trying to be grant funded.
And that's without knowing what the tariffs are going to, impact they're gonna have.
Okay,
And a lot of the parts of the systems come out of Canada.
Canada,
Yeah, so that's automatic 25%.
okay. All right, any questions from council? Any others? Margaret, do you have anything?
No. Did I answer your question sufficiently, Bob, Bill? Yes. So,
All right, well, I want to thank you so much
you're welcome.
for coming in and going back over that. I know, you're retired now, but you have volunteered to come in and help us out, and we greatly appreciate that.
Well, you can count on CERCAT whether or not I'm a contract to them or not, because they can do this kind of thing.
Okay,
So it's, I don't know whether I'm gonna sign up for another year or not, I haven't decided.
well, keep in touch. We hope you're around. If we need help, I know you'll come.
There's 3 more waiting in the wings, so I'm gonna do those for.
Okay, all right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Okay, yes, you may. Do we have any? People have signed up. Speak? Okay. Stephanie, Ms. Polly, are you speaking for Backstreet Bikes? Is that why you signed up? Okay. Paul, you good?
I'm good.
And Dale, you're Backstreet Bikes also? We should speak later? Okay, all right, so we're good.
I would like to mention, ask one question.
Oh,
I
okay,
think
you may.
this doesn't have anything to do with Backstreet Bikes.
Okay.
But, I would like to request an open house or something for the new candidates for the central district. So that the, local people can, hear what their, agendas are or what they would like to, propose for for their position. So, I haven't seen any literature or any canvassing of the neighborhoods at all from either one of the candidates, so I would really love to hear. I know you guys did it, when you were running and when Mr. Lee was running, so it would be really nice. I think there would be a lot of citizens that would be interested in hearing what the two candidates have to say.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, the public hearing is closed and we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And this is a request from the Snow Hill citizens for decent housing for water and sewer fee relief.
No, we can.
Council budget.
Oh, okay, all right, let's go to the council budget wrap-up session. I was thinking anybody didn't have any other questions, so that was just all water and sewer. Okay, all right, so we'll go ahead and start with Councilperson Fletcher.
I want to bring back up the, capital improvement. Or PNC Bank. I want to reduce that.
Okay, and what was your reason for that?
I haven't seen anything or we haven't discussed anything about going forward of what are we gonna do about it and budgeting anything. So I want to reduce the line. And split it in half,
And where you want to put the rest of it?
leave it in the capital, just leave it in the capital improvement budget.
Okay, there was, just for additional information, there was a grant that was, a demolition grant for the PNC that we did not receive. And that's the reason for the amount in the capital improvement budget for it. Now, we're reapplying for that. They closed, the grants, but they are supposed to open back up May 30th. But we're not sure whether they actually will continue with that, but we're hoping it does. If that helps at all.
I still want to reduce it. To
Reduce,
receipt, yeah, because I didn't know
by half?
anything about that, yes.
okay, council, what do you think about that? Rest of council, Councilperson Lumpkins, what do you think about that?
I'm fine with reducing.
Councilperson? Okay. So reducing it to by half,
Yes,
and we're putting it in, where are we
The
putting
funds
it?
will just stay in the capital improvement.
Funds
budget.
will stay
They'll
there.
just stay there.
It'll be an appropriation, or just total. Or-
At the end of the,
So just
budget
total-
lines, it
just
shows the
total.
excess. And it'll go there from 56,363 to 106,363. Keep the ordinance the same and the amount.
Okay.
So you would just be reducing that amount, but the capital improvement budget would become fund.
Okay. All right, anything else?
no,
You good?
yes.
Okay. Councilperson Lumpkins,
I'm good.
you good? Councilperson Lee,
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to read into the amendments, our recommendation. We're going to pass this out for the council, mayor, and probably pass that down before. To the memorandum to mayor and council, Edward S. Lee, council member, subject budget questions and justification for reduction in contract legal services dated April 29, 2025. For the administration, number one, what planning document is the administration currently following? Note, the revitalization plan sunset on January 13, 2025. Two, what is the current status of the capstone renewal application? Three, when will the council receive the deliverables identified in the town of Snow Hills analysis and strategic plan? That's why I put the attachment to this. Recommendations, contract legal services, line 7016. Reduce allocation from 90,000 to 75,000. Justification, legal counsel attendance at meetings has often been unnecessary. Bullet 2, a pending matter is currently before the Maryland Compliance Board. Bullet 3, ordinance have been drafted and redrafted unnecessarily. Bullet 4, legal counsel has in effect acted as an arbitrator in disputes between the council and the administration, which is not always an appropriate, cost-effective use of legal resources. That's my recommendation, and my questions. Mayor, I do this so that we don't get into a debate. It's here. If there's anything you want to ask me, I'll answer it, and that's my recommendation.
Now, this is the first time I've seen this.
So,
I haven't, this is the first time I've seen.
that's the first time everybody's seen
Yeah, so I have to kind of go through it
it. Sure,
a little bit at a time
sure,
to understand it.
sure.
Council also
But the
can
recommendation.
have,
My recommendation, that's why I did it in two parts. One is a budget recommendation to reduce further the line 7016 in the budget. So this is two parts for the administration, which rightfully so you may want some time to look at that. However, the second part to it, recommended contract legal services. Line 7016 in the current budget. It is currently at 90,000. I'm recommending it be reduced to 75. I mean, 95. Well, 75.
I'm not sure what you mean by what planning document is the administration currently following.
As a council person, Mayor, I don't know budget wise and practically, what is what plan? What is our plan? We've got different things going on, I know that, but where is the written plan? Where is the plan?
Are you talking about the comprehensive plan? The
If that's what you're
strategic
following,
plan,
if
the
that's what you're-
sustainable communities
I-
plan? I'm not sure which plan you're talking about. We follow all of them.
Well, that's not sound business. If you're following all of them, I have a serious problem with that. Following all of them.
They are all
Why?
very, very important to our town.
Respectfully, Mayor, you mentioned the comprehensive plan. Our last comprehensive plan, as you may know, was 2010. This in 19 the Snow Hill revitalization, a strategic revitalization plan was adopted January the 13th, 2015. This has sunset. So practically, we don't have a plan. This has sunset. So what are we following? Are we still following this, or are we still following the comprehensive plan of record 2010. And if we're gonna be following all of these things, then we come up with the capstone program. So I have asked repeatedly to meet with the director of this for the very precise reason to find an answer to these questions. What plan are we following?
Mr. Pollock,
Oh, yes.
can you go ahead and answer some of
With
the
all due
questions?
respect, need to remind Councilman Lee and everyone that this capstone plan is not a town product. This was a project of Lauren McAllister in pursuit of her Master of Business Administration. She offers to make the results of her study available to the town.
Yes.
But this was a personal project that she undertook to develop her own skills and experience in her field of economic development in pursuit of her degree. This is a product of hers on her own initiative, where she offered to make the results available to the town for our use or benefit or whatever value we wanted to assign to it. There is no official connection to this project and the town, whatever.
Whatever.
This is the first time, the very first time I've heard of that.
But it's been that way from the beginning, when she came and presented. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I don't want, that's why I wrote it. I don't want no argument.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
But
okay.
that was the way she presented it originally.
Well, I wasn't here when she presented. Okay, number one.
Fair enough.
So I wasn't here, so I don't, and so maybe it was, but still, Rick, responding to you, this is the very first time I've heard that. I was working under the assumption, when in this plan, it says, where is it? It says, in this letter, it says, the first sentence, as you're aware, I'm a candidate for the executive MBA class of February 2025. It is time for me to complete my capstone project, and with the support of the mayor in town, I will produce a developed analysis and strategic plan for the town of Snow Hill. While I'm sure that the project will evolve, I have attached my project proposal for this email for your review. I did not know that. I understood. My understanding was, I swear to you, that we were gonna get out of it a management plan. That's what I've been, you've heard me say that. That's where it came from. So my lack of understanding, because I wasn't at the table when this was started. I didn't even know what the relationship was. I just thought it was something that the mayor, that she was going in conjunction with and for. Because what came to me was, she works half-time or some part-time for the town and then part-time for the Bank Street project. Am I correct?
No, not Bank Street. She's our Main Street man.
Main Street manager, which is separate from the town.
There's a connection because we're a Main Street affiliate. So we have to have that connection there.
Okay. And that's good. I mean, that's all well and good. I didn't understand that. Totally didn't understand. So it comes back to the same thing for me. What plan are we working on?
And the capstone project is, you're working on, you've got
Yes,
something like
I'm
that.
in college right now. I've done capital projects. It's basically, it's a realistic agenda of how you can incorporate usually either a business or your job into the field that you're studying.
That you're studying.
Yeah, so it's when she's saying that she's made a plan for the town, it's because she currently works for the town, so she's using knowledge and understanding that she got from the town, incorporated into that capstone to basically get a realistic agenda for a degree, so.
Right, I agree. And it's usually, is it a written paper analyzing
It
whatever
can
she's
be
got?
from a written paper to a number of documentation and projects that can all be all incorporated into it. So it's not just writing paper, it can be actually going out. Some people do internships for it, so it can be actually going out and doing the work needed to gain information from that.
And this is for like a master's degree, or can be bachelor's also?
Normally it's a master's.
Capstone is master.
Yeah.
Mayor, now that we have that clarification, which I think is helpful to everybody. Okay. The town's planning documents and the capital project is not really on the agenda, so we still
we
Open
can-
Meetings Act, we can circle back to the agenda. Okay. All right, so let's go to the recommendation contract legal services, line 7016. So your recommendation is to decrease legal services from 90 to 75,000, and then you have justification. So would you take each one of those and explain what you mean by them?
Legal counsel's attendance at meetings has often been unnecessary. The last meeting, the council was on Zoom. We paid for, the town paid for that time. It was unnecessary for her to be there. She never said anything, and the council and I have developed a great relationship. The business is good. And I've seen the council at meetings where really there's no real reason or rationale for being there. I think I'm not going to that because that's number one. A pending matter is currently before the Maryland Compliance Board. There's a matter pending right now before the Maryland Compliance Board that is so unnecessary. But the town's got to spend money to defend that. And I can't go any further than that. Orders have been drafted and redrafted unnecessarily. There was a particular ordinance, I think it was 2417, if my memory serves me correctly, that had to be redrafted and long period of time had been spent on. You know what the cause of that was? Both sides were in support of the same thing, but they're not talking to each other and arguing and disputing. And I was very clear about it. I said, I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to support it because it conjures to what I saw, or it yields itself, lends itself to what I saw as supporting gentrification program that I'm opposed to. I told council that I was in favor of it. I wasn't opposed to it, the bill itself. I told the business community that. I'm in writing time and time again on it. So my hand was called and I had to defeat it, and I did. And it had to be written again. And then I'm the one who come back when it came back. I was the one who motioned to have it passed, led for it. So it's coming down, Mayor, that and then there are things on here I can't talk about. And you know what some of them are. It means that people in this town need to know this council is not together. We have not sat down yet with efforts to sit down and address the issues that face the town and get to know each other. We don't know each other. We see each other like boogeyman. We don't know each other. And I have striven hard to try to do that. And it's been defeated on every hand. And I think that at times the attorney is pulled in and used. The last part says legal counsel has in effect acted, and that's what I'm saying. There it is. Legal counsel has in effect acted as an arbitrator in disputes between. And if it wasn't for her, I guess we've been fighting.
I'm glad you're here. We have a difference of opinion sometimes. I think that's kind of natural and normal. Okay, anything else on that?
Well, my recommendation, I asked my colleagues to support my recommendation.
Yes,
That's where we're putting the 15.
Yes, is this, but I need to ask the other members of the council, do you agree with this?
Can I ask the attorney a question?
Sure. I'm happy to.
Okay, so the legal fees jumped in 2023 to 2024. It is about a $60,000 jump. In terms of what was actually,
So what I know before I started is that you had, attorney from the Cross Bridge
yeah,
that I think was used sparingly, didn't come to your meetings, and I think only when something serious was going on, he was contacted. So,
that was the previous.
yeah,
Okay.
that was not me. I started July 1, 2023. So you would look at your
Okay.
2024 budget, Lou.
Yes.
2024.
2023, July 2023 will be 24.
Yeah. So before that, and staff can talk to you more about that, but, that person was used rarely.
Okay. How many billable hours are we generating a quarter?
I don't know that number, but I can get you that number.
So I'm assuming it's at least $200 an hour.
It's $200 an hour. Yep, that's great.
And that includes opening an email and
Yep.
paperwork and all, so it's more than just.
And what I said to you guys before we explained this last year is like, generally what I do is I'll see like 10 emails for Snow Hill, and they're like, all right, Snow Hill needs help today, and I do that all at the same time.
Oh.
It could be 4 different topics, like today, there's definitely a lot of different topics that were going around. And I sort of hit those in different pockets for the projects you guys are working on.
How many, redrafts of legislation did you have to do last year?
So I think the ordinance that, Mr. Lee probably talking about is the VRPO ordinance.
Okay.
I did have to do that between 2 fiscal years many different times. I can't tell you how many, but it was because the council was, not agreeing on it. And it would come forward, and then there'd be another disagreement, and I had to go back and change something else. So unfortunately, I can't control that.
Yeah.
I would have rather not have to write it so many times. I was certainly happy when that one was over.
Okay.
But, often what I've advised is that that's the reason you should have the work sessions first, and you have the discussions with staff. Say example, like, for the,
We used to have one.
landlord rates, you guys had a work session, you came to agreement, then I wrote it. I think it's once you guys do that, you should stick to it. If you're not ready to make a decision, don't have me write it, because that wasn't the only ordinance where I came back and I wrote exactly what the council asked, and then more changes were asked for. So, I think when you guys are having those work sessions, make sure you're all on the same page and you've decided that way it doesn't come back. And then you're asking me to make other changes, because the VRPO was the, main culprit, but that wasn't the only one last year that was that way.
Fresh my memory, which one was that?
The vacant property.
Vacant
ordinance.
properties ones, okay. And, okay. And that accounted for a large, would you say a sizable chunk of that 93,000? I mean, how many
I
hours?
think at one point it
That
was
also was as Susan started in a row, but that was part of
the first,
93.
Yeah.
the first fiscal year was Black Eyed Susan. I took a tremendous amount of support from myself and the staff at the time.
Absolutely.
That would have been last fiscal year.
Okay.
This fiscal year that we're currently in, you have done a lot of ordinances. Like in the calendar year 2024, you all did a lot of ordinances of things that you all were trying to get done to change rates. There was probably 3 ordinances for the water and sewer plant to change the entire process there.
The receiving ordinance, she was helping with like the cap plan, different things with MDE, stuff like that, balancing things off, so.
You've had some major projects.
Which were very much needed.
Coming forward, you guys have more major projects. You've got the comp plan coming. I don't see your major projects ending. I'm ready, for example, critical area ordinance is coming to you soon. That was rewrite of the entirety of the prepared ordinance, it's 130 some pages. That
Or
took-
could you
that
just touch
took a
on
lot
what
of
you've been through the
time.
last couple of months on the closing for the Purnell Street project? I mean, that's been an
Black that out.
incredible top amount of work.
The Purnell Street project was a tremendous amount of work for start to finish. That is a big legal expense for you all to do all those loan agreements, do the closing, do the bonds. And tomorrow is our last day of that, and I'll be glad to put it up on Purnell Street file away. But that has been a tremendous amount of time.
Yeah.
You guys have sent some really big
You
issues.
had to, that was correcting from years ago, something that was not also.
Included in that, we
Done
corrected on,
correctly.
it was done wrong in 2015.
Okay.
And where they say that is an amendment that has 35,000 more.
Basically, the point I'm getting to is the majority of your billable hours are not sitting in here.
No, I would not say that, no.
This is probably 5 to 10% of your billable hours.
I'd have to run, but it's the work outside of here that is much more of the time, much more of the time.
Okay.
And I would say, and, Rick knows this, but I often ask, are you sure you need me? Because I pay attention to the budget number and I worry about your budget and I ask Rick, are you sure you guys need me tonight? Because
She does.
I'm
She does.
sensitive to the fact, like, if there's one that you don't need me, you could use those 3 hours better to have me write an ordinance or to review your contract or, you know, do all your first aid contracts or things of that nature.
And instead of you coming here, we've done a lot of Zoom. We do Zoom, a lot of Zoom meetings.
So I'm always on board to
She has
help you guys
Bill for time.
not need me and use me efficiently.
Yes. Definitely. Yes.
Marie, you're absolutely correct in what you said. And like I said, we can't say we're friends, we connect,
We're colleagues.
we're colleagues. But I have to say what I have to say and do what I have to do. I was saying to you that in this hearing, and those in the audience, know that when I came in for the last year, on 2 different occasions, I have fostered reconciliation meetings among mayor and council. I have fostered them. And basically, when we got to the table, afterwards, we did one together, rejected after that.
on the agenda?
Okay, so, I am not going to change my position that I take at the table from the people I represent. I'm not changing. So,
Is that budget? Is that budget?
Mr. Lee might be circling back to budget.
Are you circling back to budget? Come back to budget.
as my colleague support my position.
Okay. Where's the left? Bree?
We've already spent, what is it, $52,000?
Well, it's more than that, because it's, I don't know if you have this paper or not.
Just amended
Yeah,
to $105,000, I think, this year.
and we had reduced it once already for legal services, about 10,000.
Yes. 2026.
I think you're going to do. You got 2 months left in the year and, unless you guys drastically slow down the amount of work we're doing, you're gonna hit that budget.
105.
So what do we do? I'm just throwing this out, devil's advocate. If, we can't use our town attorney to, write whatever we need for an ordinance. Purnell Street, we wouldn't be able to finish Purnell Street. Is that what you're thinking about doing, considering that? I mean, if we don't have her services, and you can speak to this, Mr.
If I could
Collins.
offer perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, as you know, I've been in this business all my adult life. This is the third municipality I've been manager for. I was the elected county executive of Wycomico County for 2 terms. Until I got to Snow Hill, I have never been a part of an organization that did not have legal counsel at the table when they met. It's universally recognized as an essential component of responsible local government. And it was watching the planning commission struggle with VPRO 3 years ago. Talking about anything under the sun that occurred to them at the time, they wanted to throw in the ordinance. There was zero legal counsel there available to them. We did contract with Kevin Kropinski, who was an acknowledged outstanding attorney based in Baltimore. But he would be basically on call. If somebody had a question, they would call him up. But we were doing so many things wrong. One of the things just has come up during this budget process, there is a piece of our code that requires the town manager and then the council to set water rates at a number equivalent to what is needed to pay the bills. We haven't done that for years. And that's why we're in the trouble we are with water and sewer, because budgets have not been setting rates to meet expenses. And my sense, and it clearly makes no difference to me personally. Here is your manager, but I'm responsible for the proper conduct of the day-to-day operations of the town government. And I cannot imagine a time where the legal counsel is not available to me. And I invite you to look at the bills, look at where the time has been spent, look at the nature of all of the things we throw. There's not a day goes by that some of us don't need to call Maureen for clarification or guidance on one thing or another. And it's because we want to do things right. You know, we're responsible for the taxpayers' money. When we screw up what we do, there's penalties to pay. And so it's much better to have a qualified municipal attorney at your hand, at your elbow, to help you with these things, because we're super busy. We're busier than we've ever been, probably. And that's basically started in the last couple of years. I cannot imagine, and I'll tell you quite frankly, fire me if you want to. I will not make a decision or take any direction that could put this town at legal risk without calling Maureen. If there's not a penny in the budget, I will make sure we're legal before I do a darn thing. And I think to do otherwise would be irresponsible. And the budget we presented is based on the history. It's based on what we do day to day, week to week, month to month, up until 2023, was it? To
July 2023, that started.
we didn't have attorney present. And so we didn't have that bill. So the first bills were going to be substantially more than what was spent before then, because we weren't doing it. And you get what you pay for, remember? We weren't getting the legal advice we needed to do things right all those times. No aspersion on Kevin Kropinski, but he wasn't asked. He wasn't here. He wasn't asked. But right now we've got an outstanding municipal attorney who knows her way around. She's been very clear to point out that she is not the mayor's counsel. She's not the town manager's counsel. She's not the council's counsel. She is the counsel to the town of Snow Hill. And when she dispenses her advice and her opinion, it's with the overall good of her client, which is the town of Snow Hill. And I would strongly recommend not diminishing her role and her influence and her participation in things that we do. I just don't think that would be a smart move.
As maker of the recommendation, let me respond, particularly to what my colleague and friend said. I agree with everything that he said. I don't disagree with one thing that you said. However, we have a problem. And I know you want to circle back, and I'll stay within the budget here. But I'm not prepared to sacrifice in the budget you or anybody else if we as a council cannot come together and make the right decision. This is forcing, I did this to force us to look at where we are and say, well, there's a better way for decision making about the budget and things that we're doing and how we can save money. Let's come together and be human. Let's come together and talk. That we don't have to spend money unnecessarily. If we go through the budget and look at the reductions that have been made in the budget, going back to the capital, we invested in the capital money, plan, whatever. It's going to be little pieces here, little pieces there. I met with this young man over here and came back and made the recommendation. I think that was accepted regarding the budget by the council, that we're going to go back to the department heads and ask them to see, based on some number, which we're gonna get to hopefully before this is over, that they would look at their budget. What was the terminology that you?
Which time, this is about, during the fiscal year, while we're in fiscal year, connect with that,
When we talked about where we would ask them to cut.
executing at a high level,
Yeah, high level, or what's the terminology?
executing at a high level.
Yeah, executing at a high level.
Mhm.
So we have asked, or I believe, we accepted that notion across the board, execution at a higher level to see if we could cut to save a little here, a little there. Same thing that we have done with the legal fees, a recommendation was made. But I look at, we are not going to resolve the problem. In a sense, we're doing what has been done long-standing, and that's why the wastewater is where it is right now, kicking the can down the road, as opposed to coming together, mayor and council, having a discussion of how to go forward together. That's how we will ultimately resolve our budget crisis and the crisis that we're in the town right now. So I'm gonna stand on that, let it lead us in the right direction, then we'll circle back and put some more money that we've taken out maybe back to if we run short on the legal fees.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Councilperson Lumpkins?
I don't know, as somebody who's married to an attorney, I understand a lot of the behind the scenes work that goes into it. But we're free to have our conversation, have our discussion about how we feel about things.
Sure.
And, you know, if we don't have enough money in the budget for all of our legal fees, I mean, at some point we have to kind of stop writing ordinances. And stop kind of legislating, like as a council. So I believe in spending on the attorney. I'm fine with where we're at with it right,
With the 90,
with the 9.
Councilperson Fletcher.
I'm fine with the 90, but I would go no lower than 80. I'll make a compromise. I'm just over here with my numbers because you're thinking about, comprehensive, but I know we, as me being new to the council, when I came on the council before, I know we did amendment. And how we cut some of ours, we plan our work sessions without the lawyer. We discussed first, and then the second time, we brought the lawyer back in when we had ours. So if that's a way to compromise some cut, that's the way I would say to do it. Is we have our whole work sessions together. Don't have her at one of them, take many notes as we can. And then the second, because we have 2 for meetings, she would definitely have to be there for a town hall meeting. And that would be my compromise.
Yeah, I'll throw one thing else.
Go ahead.
Just to point out that through the work session process, you've already cut the attorney fees for water, both water and sewer by 1/2. And we do have issues with the Department of the Environment, potential consent order and penalties with the state still ahead of us in water and sewer. And you've taken the mayor's budget of a recommended 100,000 and dropped it down to 90 during your work session. So you've already made a reduction in legal fees to get to this point tonight.
I'm fine with just being us for those first, work sessions. And as long as we can come out and be decisive when she's here,
Yeah.
as long as we're on the same page when she's here, I'm fine with that, but I still think 75 is too low.
Can I just say one thing? On the general fund alone, operating, for the last 2 years, where I have been putting these numbers in place, the closer you're getting to your actual expenses, the less room there is at all. In the last 2 years, we've had $400,000 balance to the good. You want to, clearly, you would like to improve on that even. And I've said this before, department heads, just because it's in the budget, doesn't mean it should be spent. And I think you're making it very clear that you would like to be mindful of the expenses. I think the same thing for the attorney, and Maureen is already aware of that. I just want to put that out there. You're creating a budget, it has to be balanced. You put estimations the best that you can and get pretty close at $400,000 on a $4 million budget. That's pretty good, I think, for everyone that's expending the money and the revenues coming in.
If I just would add, and I think I said it before, we just keep in mind that while we're going through the year, we are looking at these numbers and we are trying to project savings as well. And then we do have a 6-month review
Yes.
that we can look at and come up with, one, how, if we have to move money anywhere, two, next fiscal year, how can we probably can reduce these lines in some fashion that will come to over year more repetition in it. So it's something that can't be done. I mean, I know we reduced it once, I think reducing it again is kind of error. I would think reduce it once. And then if you have a plan to get to that 75,000, then we should.
Doesn't mean you have to spend it,
Correct.
just because it's there.
Yeah, we should have the 9,000, so it's like, it'll be like a buffer, so. The 9,000 will be there, and then we will have $15,000 buffer that we'll try to reduce.
Okay, so council, where are we? Are we at 90?
I'm still at the 90. Especially since we cut legal fees in other areas.
We've got legal fees in two other areas, water and sewer.
I call it 15,000,
Okay,
yes, 25, that's all that.
okay,
I guess that much. I mean, it's the same, yeah.
okay. Councilperson Lee, are you okay with the 90?
No,
Are you still at 75?
Council person made a recommendation, I'll support her 80.
80?
Yeah.
Are you still at 80? Councilperson Fletcher?
90, no lower than 80.
So are you at 80? 80. Where are you?
Sorry.
90. Okay,
I just think from what we've already cut.
cut. We've already cut it once. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what's the total for those?
14,500 and 24,500 has been cut.
So we've
So,
only cut $25,000
Yeah.
out of their legal fee.
yes,
Same one, it's the same one, right, for
Yes.
everybody?
yes.
Okay.
Did you hear that? Margaret?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, you okay?
Yeah.
So
So 24 had already been cut, plus the 10 all together. So 24.5 has been cut already.
and there's a comprehensive plan coming up.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 24 has already been cut. With water and sewer, 24.5 has already been cut. Altogether from legal fees. And Councilperson Lee says he will follow Mr. Lumpkin, you're talking about you will follow Ms. Fletcher. This is the only, this is the last decision. You're looking at what sewer.
Oh, no, looking.
What do you need? What do you need?
You don't have it, cause I had it on stick.
Have a sticky.
Are you looking for the total so far this fiscal year?
No.
What do you need? We'll get it for you.
So the whole total for everything, that's what
So far,
but I changed, yeah.
so far, what is the total so far?
All together is
22,500.
22,500.
Okay.
That we've cut? From the.
No, what was the total that was budgeted? It was 100 and something
Last year or this year?
this year.
105,
Before,
70, and it was amended to 35, 105 in operating. And well, not sure about what, sure.
I know it, I changed. Oh, I have. Right, 12 and 7, I believe it was. 12, 7 and 100. That was the regular.
For 26.
Yeah.
Yes.
12, 7.
Yeah, but the amendment hasn't been put on yet. And that comment, the full plate. Today.
You're on track to use up the 105, even if you like cut back sending me work.
Okay.
It's one of the reasons I asked for it early this morning, I think. Sometimes I feel bad, but I actually asked for it today. Do you need me to come tonight? Because you're down to those 2 months and it's tight for you all.
Tight, it's tight the last 2 months.
Put the items on our agenda, require some legal guidance.
Yeah, they will.
Outside of the budget, the other two items are gonna be.
That's right. Quite a few
Support.
things on the budget, yeah. I mean, on the agendas. Anything we can help you with?
So what's the total right now? Do, say,
75. 7,500 in sewer from 15.
why didn't I look at your yellow?
The yellow lines, yes, that's what's important.
There, the
7,500 from 15 in sewer. 5,000 from 12,000 in water. And 9 from 100,000 in general.
So, and that's why I left that one at 90, because I was trying to keep it, even to 100,000, and hopefully we wouldn't use a whole 100,000 between the water and general.
So that's why you made the decision to cut to 90.
Yeah,
Okay. So are you
but I
still
was
with 90?
saying, no, no lower than 80. That's what I said, no lower than 80,000.
So,
Then that's gonna take us under $100,000 in the whole budget.
so are you saying you're at 80 or 90?
I'm gonna say 85, and that's my last, and then we'll keep track of it. I mean, and now I can see more, I'm the treasurer, I can see more.
Yes, you can.
So, and
You
if
can
I
follow
need to
it now.
bring it to the council, I will.
Okay. Are you good with 85?
I'll
Go with
support the
85.
Support
recommendation.
it?
That's
Mr.
what
Lee is
I
good.
will.
So 85. Yeah, 85 it is. Okay, good. All right, are we all finished with that now? I think that was the last item.
I will put the wetlands and the.
Bless you.
Reserve
Good.
funding under the account.
And it goes under a reserve.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
fair. Just keep budget.
Keep it a budget. Keep it a balanced budget. Okay. All right, now we can get to the request from several citizens for decent housing for water and sewer fee. They came earlier this year and presented information.
Make sure I absolutely have this budget.
Okay. Okay.
I apologize. The change tonight is to lower the PNC
Okay,
expense in the capital improvement budget $50,000.
yes,
And to change the legal fund to 85 from 90 and increase the reserve funding at under mayor council, that $5,000. And then.
Are we good with that?
Yeah.
okay. The Snow Hill Citizens for Decent Housing presented to us earlier, and, Mr. Pollock, would you bring us up to date on their requests and where we need to go from there?
I can, I can sort of, tell you what's been going on our end since, the presentation earlier this year. And, first I want to say that I don't think there was a single person who was part of this conversation that didn't fully support the goals and the vision of the Citizens for Decent Housing. It's a noble cause and one that, the town could and should get behind in general, and it has in past time. In fact, the first thing we looked at was, as was mentioned, there was a time at the town where the water and sewer connection fees were reduced by 50%. The mayor and council back in 2019 approved a plan to cut in half the water and sewer connection fees across the board for everyone in town. And they did it in the name of promoting development of Snow Hill. It wasn't specifically for the decent housing group. There was some talk about it might have been connected to Summerfield, or not Summerfield, Huntingfield. But what was actually in the ordinance that was passed, just talked about promoting development in Snow Hill. And it was a 2-year period for 50% reduction in tap fees, tap connection fees. At the end of that 2-year period, a 1-year extension was then approved by the council, which expired in 2022. So after that, we started going back to charging our standard fee for anyone that wanted to tap into the water and sewer system. Now, Randy is here tonight, and he can describe, if you like, what goes into us providing that water and sewer service. Right now, from my understanding, it's upwards of $20,000 to provide a single water and sewer connection for anybody in town. Our fee is only $10,500. So for all intents and purposes, there's already a 50% discount in what we're charging and what we're spending to bring people in line with the water and sewer system. We did check with other towns around us. Couldn't find anybody that had a similar program in place because, you know, precedent is always important. Couldn't find anyone else that had such a practice in place. The one big thing that happened between 2019 and 2022 and today was this Holloway's water and sewer rate study. We knew that we were out of bounds. We knew it with every budget. that we were in severe deficit. Some in water, mostly in sewer, but a severe deficit that was growing from year to year. So in 2023, the mayor and council made a dramatic increase in the water and sewer rates across the board to everyone in town to try to bring our budget a little closer to balance, balancing revenues to expenses. Still didn't accomplish it. And we said even then that this was just the first step and there were going to need to be additional increases in the rates before we could ever get to a true balanced budget. So that's never been overshadowed or neglected to be part of the town conversation. We knew that was going to happen. Last year, there was no increase in the rates. This budget that the mayor's proposed and the council is poised to adopt does once again provide for increase in the water and sewer rates. It's still not going to bring the budget into true balance. We're still going to have a severe deficit in the sewer side especially. Now, the difference now is that we've been able to balance the budget and do the necessary work because we've had a healthy reserve fund, what we've been able to save over time. That fund is almost gone. One of the things that we heard from our auditors when they were here to present is that we're very, very close to a serious fiscal collapse with our water and sewer accounts because our rate structure is not bringing in the revenue we need to provide the service. Still hanging over us, as we mentioned a little while ago, we still don't know that we're not going to be in some sort of penalty phase with the Department of the Environment because of the problems that we had with the plant. Bobby has done an outstanding job bringing that plant into compliance and continues to stay in compliance, but that's going to hang over us for some time. All of that is to say, we've already got a very precarious fiscal house when it comes to water and sewer anyway. We're in the hole. We're trying valiantly to get out of that hole with this incremental increase in the water and sewer rates. And as much as the concept, the vision, the appeal of granting waivers or discounts to promote development, especially for such a low cost, as much as that stirs us, we've talked it over among the staff and we don't feel that we can support any kind of action that diminishes the revenue that we are entitled to help balance the budget in water and sewer. And so our recommendation would be regretfully, but we feel responsibly to recommend against at this time. And understanding, I wish we were saying something else.
Randy, do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Oh, yeah, Mayor. I just want to say that Rick is correct on all the information that he has given. This did start in 2019 through 22. I'm not exactly sure. I can go back and look and see when this 10.5 was implemented or whatever, as far as the new water and sewer hookups. This subject was not just been brought up in the last, it's been brought up years ago. I brought it to other prior councils and mayor that they were really way under, but the town trying to help, and I totally understand that, help the citizens to move forward and grow. They just gotten so far behind. Last month, when I've been ordering new water meters every single month because I know that we have certain ones in town that's going to have to be replaced. I know prices are going up. Like I explained to the gentleman a while ago when we were outside there, I forget your name, I'm sorry. Last month to this month, water meters had gone up $65. $65 for 1 meter. And the prices are steady going up. And if you take and do a new install, you take a 1-inch meter bit, the lid, the hardware, the cork stop, the saddle for the water main, then you take you gotta have fire suppressant, depending on which way they decide to go, have the tank in the house and not have the one in the yard with the other cork stop or whatever. It's not metered, but you gotta have it. You're still out, and then you figure your CTS 1-inch line is only gonna be maybe 45 cents a foot. You're still gonna be at $2,500 to $3,000 almost. Just in that. That's not counting, then if you have to have flaggers and you have to get a service come here because you're on a state road, 2 men, 1,200 hours a day. Market Street out here for, Church Street for Dollar General, we had to do it in 2 separate days. You couldn't do the water and sewer in 2 days, so you got $2,500 just for them. I mean, the prices have just gone up so much and the town has stayed very lenient. You know, I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, you know? It's just gone so long without being raised.
Ron, did you?
I was wondering, so on top of the $20,000 for the install, there's another 3,000.
That's it. I'm gonna give you a prime example. This is gonna answer your question. This is a prime example. We've been talking about for years, in the downtown businesses or anywhere else, the meter should not be under the buildings, inside, in basements, anywhere like that, should be outside. I had an incident in February. The only thing that was done that was replaced was the water meter, water service, meter pit. That was $9,000. That was not counting the $2,500 or $2,600 I just paid for having the road repaid. And I still haven't done the concrete work yet. And no sewer was installed. That'll tell you how much it cost. Salisbury, I know they're up there in Salisbury, and Salisbury Streets, Isabella, Church, or back street there on, off of 12, wherever they are. They're the same width as the ones in Snow Hill. It's anywhere from $16,000 to $20,000 for a new water source built up. The contract, that's just what, it's just costing that. Materials are steady going up. Takes about 5 people to do the job. You gotta have a skid steer. You gotta have either a backhoe and an excavator. You got your dump trucks. And your material to do the work. That's not counting the CR6 or any of that backfill with any sand, dirt, whatever you gotta have. Man, I don't know what to tell you. The prices are gonna have to increase. If you wanna take them try to break even.
Anything else to add? You good? Anybody else want to add? Okay, council. What are your feelings? Councilperson Lee,
I yield.
Councilperson Watkins,
I agree with you. We have to charge what it costs. We've gotten into so much trouble with the wastewater treatment by not charging things cost. It's a town, it's not a business, it's all not. You can't just be eating $10,000 out of Trust Pass. Each hookup.
okay,
That's ridiculous.
person Fletcher.
I say, we've already went over this, but this was before, Councilperson Numpkins was here. This is my suggestion. Go with, I'm trying to read and make sure what I said. Go with half price of the parent cost for now. Because in the council meeting, I remember saying, if the cost went up, I wouldn't want it to be no more than, 7,500, I think it was. But I don't see it in this note. But I did say no more than 7,500. But I would say right now, that being that this is asked, and I also have a question about, it doesn't have anything to do with Greenbrier, but it just has to do with the documentation that I'm looking at in front of me, which none of it was signed, and some of it was before COVID and after COVID. But for me, right now, I don't know how it's gonna go with rest of my colleagues, but I say half price with it because they have already started on one house. And then the houses after that, because they came to us before and we were all in agreement, and I'm still gonna continue with my agreement that I said when they came before.
So are you requesting for us to write an ordinance for this? If we go with the 7,500 for reduction of the prices for all nonprofits, or what?
No,
what are
I'm
you
not saying all nonprofits. They've come before with this one house. And we had already talked about it and agreed on it. So I think we should have an agreement for this current house that is already built and they have water for. And then we discuss what we're gonna do when they come back to us for the houses for after
You're
that.
saying just for this one house? Can we do that? Maureen?
I'm still unclear what the suggestion is. I think what I heard from Randy is the cost is 20,000. I think I might have heard from Rick that our charge is 10,500. So then going from there, what number are we talking about charging for this one house?
So if our cost is 10,500, I would say half of that.
Randy's saying our cost is 20,000, but our current charge in town is 10,500. I'm
And the
just repeating
10,500
what
is
I'm
made
trying.
up of 2 fees, right? What's the?
3,500 for water, 7,000 for sewer.
3,500.
And that's
for
how we
water,
get to
7,000.
10,000.
Yes, 10,000.
Yeah.
And I seriously,
You're correct.
in
And
that,
I don't,
You're right.
I don't know when that was put in place, but I know that's a topic on the table.
That was in ordinance 131, which was written in 1989.
19
I just looked up. 1989.
so it says here that we were going to agree that there would be research to be completed on all of these suggestions. I don't think we made a final decision. Did we? Is that,
We had made a final decision, but we were all for them to have a discount on the hookup.
but we are giving a discount because is that correct? 20,000, so we're giving a discount and
There's
we're
a
already
practical
charging.
discount
Huh?
from the-
I'm sorry.
There's a practical discount from the actual cost to what we charge normally. So, I mean.
So we're
it's-
charging only
It's costing us
10,000.
about twice what we're collecting on a regular day.
So why are we only charging 10,500?
Because we haven't brought them up to date, like so many other things, our fees and such. Nothing brought up to date.
At the present time, we're charging 10,500.
Right, correct.
That doesn't mean that that's not gonna have to go up.
It's on the
It can
table, I
fluctuate.
think, at the committee, the fines and fees committee.
Fines
That
and
is-
Fees Committee
it will be
is
presented.
discussing that right
Yes.
now. So the fines that we may go up on that price.
But their house is already built and ready for water, that when they
Right.
brought it to us. So it hasn't changed, so I'm saying just do that for now. They've been in front of us before. And we were all well, we didn't take a vote on it, but we all said it was a great idea and all. So it sounded like we were for it, so I know I was for it because I said it was great. I did say, but I don't see it in here. I said 5,200, no more than 7,000, that's what I said. And I know Mr. D had a different opinion when he said it, so.
So Councilperson Lee, your opinion of this? And
I
can we
think
do
that
this for one person?
if I remember correctly, as Rick started, said we were all in agreement. I don't think that, if I'm correct, Mayor, I think I heard you say that they asked how long have they been in business or doing this, and I think they said 40 years, and you said 40 years I've never heard of. Well, there's a lot of stuff around here. People are making tremendous contributions to this community that people don't know about. And when people are struggling, like these people are struggling, over 40 years to get to the point where they are. I respect totally the position that we are in, not just you being in this council, we're in this thing together. But we owe something to this community. And we owe something to encourage people. And it seems that I'm finding almost a callous kind of attitude. We talk community and go out and say all these glorious things, but when we come to look at where the rubber hits the road, we kind of forget our goodness and our good nature. Yes, I did say you called to say, at the close of that discussion, I asked Mr. Grant, would he accept the whole pay? That's how, for the, he smiled and said, yes. Well, I want to come back and say that we cannot do that. Finances speak for themselves. But I do believe and support the position that my colleague, Ms. Fletcher, has made to do half of it.
Do half of
we owe it to-
20,000?
No,
Half of
the 20,000 is not a real figure for us having this discussion. The real figure in this discussion is 1050. Because that's what's being charged now.
So you're saying half of 1050?
Yes.
Okay, we'll
That's what, is,
try
was that your recommendation?
Yeah,
Okay.
Is it, but half of 1050 is, or I thought you said 7,000.
She said no.
no.
Mayor,
No more than
Mayor,
seven,
it's
no.
10,500. Okay, to be the correct number.
Yes.
And I think what they're saying is, if I understand it most ways, they want to go half of that, of the 10.5. And then after all this goes through, then y'all decide what you want to go up to with your rates, whether it be 17 to 20,000.
And then you have, whether
It's-
it's can do that.
Yeah, so.
Can we do that?
All the way,
Or-
and when we left the last work session, when you all were supportive of the idea, it was to go see, can we do it and how could we do it and how we did it before.
Right.
The way it was done before was town-wide. It was for everybody. There was no singling out. It was an ordinance that was town-wide. What you're talking about now is not in the code, but waiving fees for one particular house.
Okay.
That's not, as much as this, they are a wonderful organization, wonderful project, and I hate for this to be my answer, is I don't see that as being an appropriate action, waiving for one house.
May I raise a question, which is?
Yes.
Ms. Marie?
Yeah.
What do we do in this? I guess it would be called special exception, but let's take it away from the one house. What cause? I'm looking for a cause. What cause can we support? That would give that? And then bring it under that, whatever it is.
I mean, you're going back to where we probably walked out of the room last time is, could there be a program where you would pass an ordinance where a certain, type of organization could seek, basically have a lesser fee schedule. Their fee schedule would be less. And I actually looked at a number of jurisdictions, because that's what you wanted to do, see what other jurisdictions were doing. I couldn't find anything. So then I tagged in Candace, and Candace sent out a survey to other jurisdictions too. We couldn't find anybody that was, waiving fees in the manner that you all were suggesting for water and sewer. Probably, back to what Ms. Jean was saying is, as an enterprise fund, it's supposed to be self-supporting, and you're also supposed to be charging the cost. So by creating rebates and refund programs, you're not charging the cost, for operations. So that is probably why Candace, I could not find another jurisdiction that was doing this. And we didn't get it, the Rick didn't summarize that because just staff fundamentally from a financial perspective, obviously doesn't recommend it. But that was the other thing, so we could not find another jurisdiction that was doing this, and it goes back to the fundamental operations of a water and sewer plant and a water and sewer operation, which Jean really explained earlier. So, well, when we were walking out of the meeting, we thought like, would there be an avenue to create a parameter for a nonprofit organization like the one before you to do a different rate structure? We didn't find precedent for that anywhere.
So
Go ahead.
is it legal for us to do this one-time allowance? I mean, because for me, it just looks like this was something the council voted on, they all like the idea, and we would just, we're just honoring what we said we were gonna do. Or,
We said we would research it.
okay.
We agreed with their presentation and that's so much the concept.
Everyone was
Yes.
supportive at the meeting.
Absolutely.
That was
We want to
definitely
help
the
them.
Want to convolute things and I don't know the law, so I'm gonna, is there a way this house is being sold, is that correct? That
Is it
Usually-
finished?
usually we collect the fees before the installation, but if the price is included in this selling, yes, because they pay after they sold the house. But that was, you would have to pass the cost on to the buyer. That's just something trying to.
Well, I do know in the presentation, when they talked about that they were trying not to make the cost of the house.
Any higher?
Yes.
Okay.
I recall that.
What was,
Yeah.
That the intention was to keep the cost of the house low, that the
By
person
the
is
decreasing
purchasing
having
it
the-
for cost, so this was reducing the overall cost to the person, but I'd like to find this going with that. I just don't know if we have to ask if that would be feasible, but
I
if they were trying to keep the cost
I
low.
would think.
But everyone that's, absolutely, I recall, everyone was supportive of the idea, and we
Yes.
were simply, go for it. It might have been Mrs. Walsh, but everybody said, go see what other jurisdictions are doing, find good examples, anybody that actually done this really, and see what everybody else is doing and how we can make that work. But in the meantime, your guys' financial analysis came into play, so I was just keeping to myself on the topic, but that's what I saw what you're looking at.
So in summary, that's something that we cannot do legally at this time.
One, you have nothing in your town code now that would allow that. And then that idea would be, you would be passing an ordinance to rebate the homeowner. And I don't know that that is a good path for the town to be on.
That's slippery slope.
Like least favorite term, but sometimes it has to be.
well,
used.
I'm reading the notes and it's saying that, Mr. Grant wanted consideration for 3 more.
Yeah, they had the one project and then definitely, he said that there was more houses coming.
5 total, I guess.
This was the start of the effort on that street.
Anything else we can look into for them? No? That I know of? You know of? Grants or, I think we did talk about grant, didn't we talk about grants or something in the description?
I know we as a staff talked about if there was anything that we.
The staff, yeah.
On the or your perspective grant that we could point them to. I don't know if you all ever remind me, but we did discuss that. I'm sorry.
I think I remember saying, I remember something about that. I don't know whether it's in the write-up or not.
Mayor, Mr. Lee, any other?
Yes,
questions?
okay.
Digging. Give me an example if you can. Where municipal governments or government has special authority for granting, not necessarily grants, exceptions what can, for our edification, what is a special exception relevant to what we're talking about? That a municipality make an exception to a similar situation. Give me just some sort of.
I mean, something I can think of is that I know of jurisdictions that have, building fee rebate programs to spur primary residency. That's something that's occurred. So once a person builds a house, moves there, establishes primary residency, through making sure they've got their homestead credit, their license changed, like all these different things the person has to prove. There's been programs in places where jurisdictions have been rebated them the building permit fees or a portion thereof to spur primary residence in a jurisdiction. So there's programs like that.
What I was thinking about. Would that work in this situation if the mayor and council, not just for this, but for encouragement for building, that we could use this as a modeling example for, we're gonna help them to get in. I know we have some
The
programs in
water,
real estate.
sewer and water and sewer people and teams here, I think taking away from the water and sewer fees is harder because that is it's an enterprise. It's supposed to be self-sustaining and you're supposed to be covering costs. So when you take away from that, that creates a problem that you guys are already in. So I think that's sort of something that sacred cow, the right word, it's not something you want to touch when you're talking. And your staff's over there that deals with building permit fees, when you're dealing with those fees, that's to recover the time for the staff's work. And you're paying for that staff person already for salary wise. Which is very different than enterprise. With enterprise funds, you need those funds to operate that business. I think building permit fees are still very important and they're still covering operating expenses in your budget. But that's a cleaner path to go down something that way.
So we can look into that.
I don't know if your staff over there, there's anything else I'm talking about their, fees for their departments.
But you're talking to the legislature right now, so we deal with
But
that.
they would know facts that I would not know about internal operations. Lou and Sharon's taking a phase two, so,
Okay.
so there are programs like that that deal with building permit fees. But as Lou has said, your guys' budget is very tight and all your fees may matter. And so I don't want to suggest something that's infeasible for you guys from a financial perspective.
Okay. Any other last comments? We have a group. Up Matt, you good?
I don't know, it just seems that we would be offering a discount, get out of a hole that we've already dug. So basically, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Any other comments? Not good news, but. It's hereby what is legal. I don't know whether we can.
It's exception. It's not, even if you start trying to figure out a way to assist, it's this exception that whether you can have.
Right. And you have to be equal with everybody.
Yeah.
You have to do the same thing for everybody.
I just wonder if the same conversation happened back in 2019, and that's why it came down to a townwide decision rather than singling any particular
Singling
group
anybody
of person out.
in particular.
None of us will.
I think they came with their house at the time that was in place. That's what I just think that,
The town program was already in place.
yes, that's what I think. But I don't even know definitive except what I've read since then, they reduced those rates to encourage development. And Honeyfield was going in, so I think it was to get them. Apparently that property might have been sitting there waiting to be developed for years. I don't know, all the details on that. But that was about the
On
time.
Honeyfield.
Yes.
Oh.
It was in a water and sewer system with no addresses. So I don't know that the town had been approached, as a development, and that was part of that. And I think that this organization came in with those rates were already at payout.
So you saying what property? Huntington Field or,
We were around for that.
yeah, I get ready to say that Greenbrier and
And I don't know
that
about
thing
Greenbrier.
existed, but I'm saying all of that existed way prior before, Huntington Fields was ever looked at.
Was that
You know,
Maple
I
Field?
mean, the reduction in water and sewer rates for the 2 years. and then extension was during the
2019.
Yes, it was during the Hundred Fields.
Okay.
Bill,
Development, yeah.
Mayor, I don't know if it's appropriate for me to comment, but I worked for the town from 86 to 89 as community development coordinator when New Hope Village was built on Maple Street and when the first VOTEC house was put in with Snow Hill Citizens for Decent Housing. And the town kind of helped them to get started to begin with. So that's probably why a lot of and I don't know what fees were waived. I don't remember because I was not, well, I don't remember, it's been 30 years. I don't remember.
Right.
But, at any rate, the town, part of my job was to liaison with him and it was all paid through the community development block grant.
It was paid through a grant?
Yes, my salary and all of it.
Okay, so we need maybe look at grants.
And I also wrote the grants, so.
Okay. Okay,
So
that's an
you're
option.
Can you,
So you want to write another one?
I have written grants, almost that long. Yeah, they've built 3 VOTEC houses, but they can't even do VOTEC that anymore. That was a very novel project.
Startup.
The
Well,
tech
thanks.
is offered to start again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
is good
came out very, very well for the students as well as for, Snow Hill citizens.
Right.
And I don't know whether that was out of order or not. I did happen to know a little bit about it from back then.
got one more grant, right? One more grant in?
I think you've already got a grant right station.
We have a request that, Backstreet Lights would like to reschedule their presentation to the council. That's good for you tonight. Okay, all right, sorry, it's going so long. Yeah, we will reschedule again.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, comments from the public.
Yeah.
There's no additional sign up. There's no one to sign up. Okay, council, announcements from council, Councilperson Lee. Block grant. Yeah, got it. Okay, Councilperson Lee, any comments? Announcement?
This process. And this is the mayor and 2 mayors and council. This process has revealed how serious a need is for this council to open discussions among itself. And develop a path to working together. I'm not saying the mayor and council, you can't go on continuing. We got basically 3 million legislators who don't know each other. And there are a number of issues that we need to discuss. collectively, openly, and honestly, first getting to know each other. In my spirit, I believe, and I'm speaking now to council, that this is a great opportunity in my heart of hearts. We have never had an opportunity in Snow Hill in my time engaged in government. Sometimes I'm gonna figure out just how long I've been in. I didn't realize I was reaching probably a 50-year mark. But it is critical that we do that. We have the power to do that. This is the first time since you've been on the council, she's been on the council, I've been on the council, we've been permitted to have this kind of discussion. And I want to share with you both that this is the kind of discussion that we must facilitate. When you and the others were interviewed for your position, there was a question on there. And the question, I think, was question 22. Would you participate in what's the word I'm looking for? Would you participate in reconciliation? What's the word? Mediation. Mediation. Would you participate in a mediation if so? Since I can talk to you now openly about this, and you, council person at the other end, since I can talk to you about it openly, would you be willing to participate in an open mediation? We made a recommendation to the mayor. Would you be willing? No. Would you be willing? I'm asking you, would you be willing?
The personal choice.
Personal choice.
It's a personal choice.
What's that mean?
It's not required.
No, that's right.
It's not
Absolutely.
required. It's a
Absolutely.
personal choice.
Okay, it's a personal choice. Would you be willing to participate? Yeah. Would you personal position, and I'm willing. So when can we set this up so that we can reactivate the Tri-County Council reconciliation offer, and at no charge to the town?
I don't set that up.
Rick, when can we set it up?
Well, they would need to agree to come,
Well, they just agreed.
No, I mean, the tri-community.
Yes.
Would need to take it off.
Okay, is it proper since you have to do, is it proper for me to ask you, would you do that?
I can certainly make contact with them and see if they want to try again.
Why the last time? Let's get, why the last time you did stuff? Asked you a question about it, and you said you didn't want to participate.
I said it had gotten to the point where I was uncomfortable as a staff person, trying to weigh in on problems of communication and relationships with the elected leadership. I didn't think it appropriate for me to be brought in to that little bit with it all.
Well, based on what the three legislators have said, would you convey to them that we are willing to do that? And I would like to have you a part of it, if you would, if you would reconsider.
The mayor needs to weigh in as well.
Well, I'm gonna ask- I'm
The
gonna
one thing
ask
they
that.
insisted on was that everybody participate. Now, the first time they tried to organize it, I was not included. I was actually frankly surprised when they included me in the second round. And I found, we had one session and it was all confidential, but I felt very uncomfortable position I was in, being staff.
I think it did. I think it put you in a very uncomfortable position. I as well was a very uncomfortable.
Well, I'm there.
That's my own personal. That's my own personal opinion, and I don't think we should be discussing that right now.
Well, if we don't discuss it now, Mayor, when are we going to discuss it?
May I stop you, please? This is my own personal choice. This is my freedom. And this is my personal choice, and I felt very uncomfortable. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna say. Councilperson Lumpkins,
Yes, ma'am.
what would you like to announce this evening?
I would like to say thank you to everybody who's helped me and helped me adjust to the new position and has had their input, and I welcome all advice. I welcome the input and the help from everybody. And thank you very much, Mayor and Council, and everybody else who's been so generous with your time. Sit down and talk with me. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Councilperson Fletcher, any announcements?
Well, we'll have it first Friday.
Yes.
Yes, coming Friday, May the 2nd. And elections are May the 6th, and I need to clarify something. Our work session, did we schedule one for that specific week? Or did we just agree on the 12th of May?
I think the idea was the meeting on the 12th with the interviews with the engineering firms would substitute for the work session that would have been on the 6th.
Well, for engineering.
Yes.
That'll be the only agenda items, the 2 interviews.
And then our regular town hall is that following.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
And once again, I thank for everybody for working together for our, I-County, and it has been 8 work, but sessions.
It's been eight. Is this number 8? Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6,
Do you
7.
believe that?
This is number 8.
This is number 8.
8.
You do.
It's just council. Yes.
Yeah.
Mayor, I just want to be clear on my request.
Are you finished? You're finished
Oh,
now.
and the banquet on Saturday was great.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
That was-
It was a nice evening, and Teacher of the Year also. I'm sorry you couldn't make it,
Yeah.
but Teacher of the Year was amazing. It was great. It was great.
Mayor, before you start, I just want to clarify something.
Very quickly, please, Mr. Reed.
Sure, thank you. Will you make the request to see if they'll do it for the 3 council people?
You call it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I have several, I guess we don't have anybody else in the audience, but I just want to thank staff for this long process, but it's been good. I think we've gone through it very thoroughly. I think that we've come up with a lot of good ideas, and moving forward, I think this is a great working budget for us. So thanks to everyone who's worked so hard, and Candace setting up the meetings, and Chief being here and making sure everybody comes through the security, and Aaron, thank you for being here this evening. So I really do appreciate it. And election day is May 6th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Also the county budget.
County budget is
Is
at
6
6 p.m.
Yeah.
And I remember, please call commissioners, email them, call them to support Snow Hill, town of Snow Hill, budget request. And council, you received, I hope, these packets for the engineers. And you also the request for, qualifications. So please read through these. If you have questions you would like to ask, jot them down. There are a scope of services that we're looking for. If you take a look at the, RFQ, and it looks like all of these things are things that we are looking, that these engineers can do for us. So if you have questions, jot them down. And, Rick, do you want to, have them send the questions to you?
Yeah, I would think maybe.
And we
if
can
have
compile them again?
By the end of next week, then we can put them together and have it
Everybody,
with them over the weekend.
is that okay, council? When would you like to have them?
How about, not this Friday, but Friday week? the
Friday week.
Friday.
So you have a week to go through these and ask questions, yes. Yeah,
I made a mistake on the 12th. And if I can make a request, if our work session can be at 5:30, it's only, we have our retirement and service
Oh, we
at
do.
school and that's probably gonna be an hour. So I wouldn't be able to I would be able to get here at 5:30. If that's okay with rest.
I'm sure we'll
5:30?
align with the consultants on that.
we're okay for being here, correct, Candace,
That evening, yes,
that evening? So 5:30,
yes.
are the engineers,
I'll touch
You'll
base
check-
with them both
check with
tomorrow,
them?
but
Okay.
our plan was to bring George Miles in first, for the first hour. And then, Davis Bowman for Delta the second hour.
okay,
So we'll start at 5:30 with, change over at 6:30.
okay.
Yeah, I have it all in don't have it where I'm looking at my eyes, but it's all these dots in my phone. I had to check it and make sure.
Great,
So, yeah, that one. Sorry.
all right. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.